Welcome back to another video, guys. This is Jay Will here with the full review of the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. Now, the S8 Plus is Samsung's latest offering at the moment for flagship content and hardware in the US. Now, this has a 6.2-inch Quad HD display coming in at 1440 by 2960 on the pixel count. Has a 12 megapixel on the rear with a dual tone LED flash, heart rate monitor, fingerprint sensor. On the front here, you have a iris scanner, proximity sensors, and a selfie cam there with 8 megapixels on it. This thing does have a 3500 milliamp hour battery inside, and I think it's very impressive. I've tested it on 1080p settings that they had that it comes out of the box, and then I've been testing it. I've left it on the 2K setting for the screen is what I'm talking about as far as the battery goes. Inside, you'll find the Snapdragon 835 coupled with 4 gigs of RAM, and you've got the Adreno 540 for the US for the GPU. It does have Android 7.0 out of the box, and it has an SD card slot with 64 gigs onboard storage inside. Bluetooth 5.0 is a feature that a lot of people don't talk about very often, but it is here. And I think it's something that you should definitely take note of. USB Type-C 3.1 on the bottom, and a headphone jack down there as well. No IR blast or anything like that. Some people actually like that. That's not something that I require, but definitely is not there. You do have Midnight Black, which is the version that I have here, and then you have Orchid Gray, Arctic Silver, Coral Blue, and Maple Gold. Now, not all those colors are available in the US. However, they are an option. So, techy stuff out of the way in that first 2 minutes. I apologize if that was very long, but I have to say those things for people that might ask those questions. So, day-to-day use. Starting off with the build quality, like I always do. The build quality on this thing is by far one of the best that Samsung has ever brought to the market. The design of it is very sleek. It's a different kind of design. It's got a new aspect ratio for the screen and the phone itself, 18 by 5 by 9, which makes this phone have a very big, long screen pretty much. I will admit though, after using my S8 for quite some time, I like the width of this phone. You know, so a long time ago when I first held these phones in Best Buy, I did a live stream saying wasn't too fond of this phone, but I did tell you in that live stream that I was actually going to get them both at the right time. So I started off with the S8, reviewed that one, and then now here we are with the S8 Plus. Now this is the unlocked variant directly from Samsung.com. I purchased all of my Samsungs, both products from Samsung Direct. That was the way I wanted to go, but for the S8 Plus, I definitely wanted the unlocked version, and I was able to achieve that by just waiting. And so that's why this review is coming out a little bit later. However, the build quality on here is something that is striking. You know, they're saying this is their infinity display, and when watching content on here, you do get an infinity display, if that's what you want to call it. Basically, the screen, it just runs off the edge, and it just is very immersive, and I don't disagree with that. I think Samsung definitely did a great job with this particular display. It is by far one of their best, and I give them high praise for that. This display, this is the Pixel wallpaper, Pixel XL's wallpaper. I just grabbed it from Google. For people that ask for all the wallpapers I have, I just get them off Google in most cases, unless you see my name up there. And in that case, I use cooltext.com to make those. So the display, very immersive. I think you'll really enjoy it. Now, speaking of the hardware, one of the most awkward things about this phone is the placement of the fingerprint reader. And that's just what it is. You know, they've placed it in an awkward place. We have to deal with it, but there's ways around it. And how I get around it is just by using the iris scanner, because there is an iris scanner up here on the front. And I'm going to lock the phone and see if I can unlock it from back here. And it works just that fast from behind the camera. The iris scanner works very well. So there's ways to get around this awkwardly placed iris scanner. Fingerprint reader. Now, and that's to use the iris scanner for me. Now, another area where I think is a mistake by Samsung, it was the inclusion of this Bixby button right here. I think that was a huge mistake. I would have definitely taken some shutter button for the camera or just a programmable key. But they've locked it into Bixby, and then people have already found ways to get around it by remapping. I personally have mine disabled, and my apologies for those people that wanted me to test out Bixby. I tested it out off camera, and I'm just not interested in it. I prefer to stay with Google Assistant for all of my needs. And I know that Bixby, you can scan things and things like that, but that's not something that I do. So Bixby is disabled. And because I think that that was just a bad choice by Samsung to include this hardware button. And I know that there's a future for it. I know that they're saying, hey, it's coming. Don't worry. We're going to take care of you on this. We have a great feature. You'll enjoy it when the time is right. But I suggest that before you release something, you should have it ready. And that's just what it is. So this phone does have another feature that you can't see. Well, there's several. It's got the wireless charging, fast wireless charging, and then also it's waterproof. Now, with that being said, having a waterproof device can be a tedious task for trying to get the best sound quality out of a phone. So let me see if I got some music on here I can play. Let me find some music real quick. All right, I've got some music to play here. It's just songs that I use for YouTube. So I'm just going to play it here. I'm going to stream it right out. So it just depends on the genre of music that you're playing, whether or not you'll get the best sound quality. But what I will tell you is, for a waterproof phone, this is actually a really good speaker. It's not the loudest, of course. What is the loudest? Okay, you probably need dual front-facing speakers, like on the Axon 7. I don't know. Or the Moto's Moto X Pure has dual speakers. The HTC U Ultra has dual speakers. There's a lot of phones that have dual speakers. Having a single bottom firing speaker like this, it's actually fantastic. The software itself is TouchWiz still, and they've relabeled this Grace UI, and they can relabel it any name they want, but to me it's still just TouchWiz, and that's where it is. Now, you've heard me say in other videos that I've experienced lag, and I have experienced lag, but it's not something that's a steady thing. It's in certain situations, like and I'm starting to blame a lot of this on Google software, because I have a lot of crashes with YouTube Studio, Google Plus, just things dealing with YouTube, or excuse me, Google. It's actually it just crashes a lot. Now, I have had instances where this phone crashed out on Instagram and got hung on Google Voice, just different things. It gets hung, and my response to that is it's about optimization with the current OS. I don't feel that TouchWiz has made its point yet. I think Samsung still has a lot of work to do, and I think it's going to take them some time to catch up as far as optimizations to other skins. Now, while other skins aren't as immersive as this, and while they don't have the features, Samsung skins definitely have features. I mean, they offer so many things. Now, this isn't a Galaxy Note 8, but pretty much might be looking at it. But the feature set, the things that come with Samsung's software, it's great, you know. And the fact that they have a feature with the iris scanner, that's just great. I mean, you can unlock this, you can be in the dark and unlock it because it's reading your retina, so it doesn't matter the lighting situation. But I have found that in really bright situations, it cannot read for some reason. And, you know, that's just a reflection probably. But the features of this phone, you know, the main feature for me, the best, I think, is the iris scanner. Believe it or not, in other videos I've said before having hands-on, I'm not really a fan of the iris scanner. And, you know, you got to get your hands on it, and you've got to do it yourself. So that's about where I'm at. Features, it's no Galaxy Note, but you still can do a lot of the things with gestures and things like that. The always-on display is a great feature as well. Now we're going to take a look at some camera footage here. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has the same sensor as the S8, obviously, and it's just a minor upgrade from the S7. Now, I do all my video recording pretty much with the S7 and the G6, and right now I'm using the S7. And you know, the quality that comes from Samsung cameras is definitely pretty good. It's really, really solid. You shouldn't have any problems with shooting a video with the 12 megapixel on the back. Shooting 4K on the S8 Plus is really nice, but it comes across as choppy at times, and some people have said, dang Jay, that looks kind of bad. Every camera that I've pretty much put this up against, someone chose the other camera overall. Now that doesn't mean that this camera is horrible, but it's definitely better than a lot of other options out there that you could possibly try to take or come across when using a smartphone. So camera footage, photos, our still shots are great. I mean, camera footage is solid. It's definitely doable, and the premium price you're paying, it better be really good. Performance on here, again, I haven't had, I touched on already, but the lag from Samsung is it's just lingering. It's there every now and then. Some people joke and call it lag whiz, and you know, I'm not into name calling, but the fact is, at this premium price tag, I shouldn't be experiencing any lag, and that's just what it is. But it happens, you know, and this isn't the only phone that lags. People kind of hang that over Samsung's head. But in reality, there are a ton of other phones that are just horrible with the software and performance. This phone is not horrible. It's actually fantastic. It just has minor tweaks needed. I don't know if they need to just give it 6 gigs of RAM, or they just need to really slim down TouchWiz, like to bare bones. I don't know what they need to do. But I don't think you should be having, you should have lag with the internals of this phone, because I have other phones with the same internals and there is absolutely no lag. So one of the main things about the phone is the price. And before I touch on price, well, let's talk about the price. Over $800, almost $900 with tax for me. This is an expensive, and some people say this is an investment. Listen, smartphones aren't investments. Well, I guess if you're going to use it as your camera for it's an investment. Okay, I will say that, because my S7 I feel like is a great investment because I'm putting out this type of footage that you see right here from an S7 with an external microphone, and it is top notch. So at least in my eyes it is. And the Galaxy S8, you can do the same thing. It's just that the premium prices that Samsung is asking for. Hey, and it's kind of weird, but I feel great about my purchase with the S7. I paid $672 plus tax, $679 or something that plus taxes, almost $750. And the reason I feel like I'm getting the best out of it is because I'm using it to run my YouTube channel now that my main camera has broken. My Canon broke, and I just, even before the Canon broke, I started using the S7. And I'm eventually going to transition to using this phone for videos, not full time, but just to give my S7 a rest and use my S7 as a regular phone, which I do put a SIM card in it and use it for calls, and it still performs great. But the S8, you know, Plus, you know, the price tag is something that you just can't ignore. It's an expensive piece of technology. And some people always say silly comments like, oh, you got to pay to play. No, you don't. Because there's a proven fact that there's other phones out there that perform better than this phone, and they cost less. And so what, they may not have this immersive display, but overall, they perform better and they cost less. I mean, I could whip out so many phones, but I'll just lay a couple of them here on the table, different price ranges. Let's go down to the second tier drawer. Let's do that. I could even go all the way down to the bottom drawer. I just have these kind of labeled out in different ways, but you get the picture. This phone is expensive. These phones are not. These phones perform better than in the software area than this phone in my experience. And definitely in the battery area, which is where I'm going next. Premium price tag, you're getting premium specs. I would rather have premium performance than a bunch of software tweaks that I don't use. That's just me. So when a battery life, saving that for last, battery life is definitely good on here. Now, it's kind of strange. When I use the 1080p setting, I barely made it to 5 hours, and you know, I got a little over 5 hours. But when I did it on 2K, I actually got 6.5 hours, and I posted it online with 12% left. And I actually closed out that cycle with about 6 hours and 45 minutes with about 4% left or something like that. But battery life, I'm not getting the battery life that a lot of people get, but battery life depends on the user, and that's just what it is. There's no getting around it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this full review. It's your man Jay Will. Would I recommend this phone? Not to everybody. If you have an S7 Edge, keep your S7 Edge and just wait for software updates. If you have an S7, keep your S7. Don't upgrade to this because it's really not necessary. I think even though the S7 and the S7 Edge have Snapdragon 820s, they perform really good, just as good. I mean, again, I can't stress it enough. The camera samples coming from this S7, which I've had for a year. I don't even know how long I had this, but I've had it since launch. So however long it's been out, that's how long I've had it. And the S8, I plan on keeping it as well. But the S8, you know, for the price tag, you know, you got to weigh it out and decide, okay, do I want to give up my S7 or S7 Edge and move to the next best thing from Samsung? Or do I want to be realistic, and if my phone is still working, I'm just going to keep it and roll with it and wait on the software updates, because your S7 or S7 Edge will have the same look and software as this. So, you know, it's still your older devices are still waterproof from Samsung. The S7, S7 Edge are waterproof. They have wireless charging, fast wireless charging or whatever. You know, the cameras are the same. You know, just weigh out your options. I would tell a person not to upgrade if you currently have a Note 5, Note 4, you know, S7, S7 Edge. Don't upgrade to this. It's really not necessary. But if you don't have a Samsung product and you're thinking about switching, definitely grab the S8 or the S8 Plus. Grab either one of these, because I think you'll be really happy with it. And, you know, when you look at these, the S8 is just a little bit smaller, but it's really immersive as well. So it's up to you, you know. You do the math on your pockets and what you can afford, and what you not in the sense of a derogatory term, but what you're willing to spend, I guess I should say. How about that terminology? So you do the math. If you want to spend lots of money on the latest and greatest from your favorite OEM, please do so. It's your man Jay Will. I will see you guys in the next video. It's a full review for the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. See you in the next one. Take care.